so we're going to follow up with the changes we did so far and now modify the actions in the patient appointment controller. Ooh, my screen just went black there for a second. I don't know what happened. All right, so I'm going to do a bit of search and replace here. I'll just have to be a little bit careful, right? Remember, we changed the names of the views already, so create will become add. Okay, I'm just going to do it carefully in the current document only, of course, right? See, this is something like that. See, that create async, I definitely want to skip that one, right? Okay, so this one I'll do, that one, that one, that one. Okay. And then edit. I'll change that verb to update. Okay. And then delete to remove. And then that way that should match the actual names of the views that I changed a few minutes ago. Okay, now a build will tell me if I changed something I shouldn't have, which is possible, but I think I was careful enough. I don't think I did. Okay, all right, so we seem to be good. So, all right, now we're going to be modifying, of course, the code in those views as well. But just to review, I'm happy with the index. It seems to be doing everything it needs to do, right? Details, you know what, I'm not using it. I might even comment it out for now. Okay. Now, for the add process, right? Again, remember, of course, we don't need any of that code anymore. We're going to have a different approach. But the most important thing is that we're modifying each of these to always focus on the one master record. And you might recall that we passed two parameters in our create link. The integer value for the patient that we're focused on. And for our convenience, we also passed the name of the patient, okay? And that we did that partially to save us the trouble of going to actually to the database to get it again, because once we get in here, well, we don't have it unless we've supplied it somehow, right? And as well, of course, first thing we want to do is make sure that we actually do have the patient ID to work with, right? If not, we're going to go back and return to the patient appointment view the way it was with whatever sorting, filtering, and paging we had in place there, right? Okay. Now, now I have this patient name parameter here. Before I forget, I'm going to put it back into view data so that if I do end up having to, maybe there's some validation error or whatever, and I go back and forth between the controller and the view more than once, okay, then I still keep that patient name tucked away, right? So I'll be able to encode in the view, tuck it away in the hidden input there, and then get it back again on a round trip back here to this parameter, right? Okay, and you know, I can just call my populate drop-down lists instead of all this code, because for one thing, I don't even need a select list for a patient, so this is going to do everything I actually require there. But we aren't quite done, because we're going to create a new appointment, but specifically a new appointment for the patient we're working with. Well, how do I make sure that happens? Well, basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the appointment before I even return the view, right? So I'll instantiate a new appointment object, and I will set the patient ID for the appointment to the one that I have, right? My patient ID that I got passed in as a parameter, okay? The get value or default is just there because it's a nullable int, right? Okay, then when I return view, I put A in there, right? If maybe I could use a longer variable name if it would help for clarity, but A is fine for my purposes, right? So that's the new appointments. I've already started to create it, so I apply that, supply that as the model for the create view. That way it already has the patient defined as I go to create a new appointment. Whew, good. Okay, now when we come back, right? As you know, we don't really need the ID when we're first creating, but I do want to bind to all those other properties, okay? And the patient ID, I'm going to be storing it in a hidden input in the page, so it will come in as well, right? So all of this stuff is fine. That's good. We'll make our appointment, okay? But I'm going to add one more thing. And, I like that Visual Studio now lets me just press enter here, and it fixes up closes the quote, put a plus sign, and starts the quote again. I love that. That's nice. Okay. But there's one more thing I want to grab. I'm also going to be storing that patient name, okay, inside the form. So I'm going to get that back again here. And that just saves me going out to the database just to find out what the name of this darn patient, whose ID might be, who knows, 27 or something, right? That way I have it nice and handy. Okay. Now, of course, we're going to switch to our try catch approach that we always do whenever we're dealing with updates to the database. So I might as well just replace this code. Of course, we'll get rid of all this view data stuff as well. So I have my try. If the model is valid, then we go ahead and we add the appointment, save changes, and then my return URL, right? That'll just take me back to my patient appointment with all the current settings that I have. Not too much to check for in terms of an update exception, so I just have a generic message here. Don't have any unique constraints or anything that's going to cause an issue on my actual appointment, so I think I'm fine. Okay, populate drop-down list for the appointment. Once more, I'm going to throw back into view data the patient name because, again, we're tucking that away inside a hidden input inside the form, so it comes back in up here, and so on back and forth, round and round we go between the view and the controller. And of course, we'll return the actual appointment, okay, that we built as we came in here, right? So it can redisplay it to have anything fixed that we need to fix. All right, well, maybe we'll go to the view. No, I think I'll finish walking through the controller here. All right, so the get for update, not a huge amount of change here because remember, we already have the appointment created. So it already knows, already what patient the appointment is for, right? So all I really need to do is, I'm going to expand, of course, the little link query here to go and get the appointment from the database. I want to include all kinds of good stuff. Okay. So that will go and get my appointment itself, okay? And then if it's null, I can return not found. That's fair enough. And I'll replace my all this big bulky code with my one populate drop-down lists. And away we go, and return view appointment. Not much change really needed here, except I'm adding, of course, more lookup values, right? Or related values, I should say. Okay, now for the post, okay? Now here, of course, we have a number of changes to make. For one thing, of course, we're going to use our good old try update model, so I don't need to actually build the appointment object here at all. Take all that code away. Don't need that. And I don't need to worry about any parameters for the name because I already know who it is, right? We're updating it. Okay, so I will just go and I'll get my appointment to update. Right? And then we'll check to see if we actually got it, just as for those who are paranoid about things like that. Okay, so that's our usual approach. So I go to the appointments, including the reason and the patient, okay, and I go and I get it. First or default, bada bing, bada boom. Then we're going to try update model, right? So basically I'm going to take the rest of this code out and replace it with our normal approach. All right, so we do try update model, okay? But notice what I'm doing here. I did make one little change from the sort of the standard approach. I don't even mention, okay? This is basically our whitelist, right? In this case, we've already created this appointment for this one patient. I'm not allowing the user to even sneakily try to change the patient for this appointment, right? No substitutions allowed, right? So I don't even mention the patient ID. It's a foreign key property inside the appointment, but there's no chance, because it's not in the whitelist, there's no chance that even using Fiddler or other tools like that, that there's any way that they could attempt to try and change the patient ID, right? Okay, and that is our normal try catch here, right? Returning back to with our return URL, it'll go back to the patient appointment controller again with all the parameters set. Only update exception is just a generic one. We call populate drop-down lists again for our appointment update and return the view. All right, so not huge changes, really just always keeping our thumb on who to blame here. Who is the actual patient that all these appointments are for, right? So for the actual remove, the get for remove, once more I'm just expanding the actual query itself. Not by much, okay? Really, actually, when I look at it and compare, it's almost the same as what I would do. I might add the as no tracking. It's really not critical when you're only pulling one record anyway, right? And other than that, no, that's it. It's good. Okay, now we do have to do more work, of course, in remove confirmed, okay? So this is the one where, once more, I am going to go, they're a little lazy. They don't pull all the details, right? Pardon me. Okay, I will go and get the full appointment, including all this good stuff, right? First to default. Now remember, do not have as no tracking in here, or you will not be allowed to actually delete the object, right? And then I have my normal try catch approach here, so I'll just get that in place. So we try to remove it, save changes, and go back to the patient appointment, right? Our exception, if something goes wrong, can't imagine it will, but if something did, then we're handling that and we return view appointment. Okay, now of course we'll have to remember in the remove, not delete, remove view, that we do actually have a validation summary to show any error messages, any model state errors that there are. And that's basically it, okay? That's all the changes we need to the controller. Small changes, but in each case, for each of the actions, okay, add, update, remove, we're always taking care to persist the information about what patient we're working with. Now we just have to update those views and we'll be done, right? So coming down to views for our patient appointment. Okay, let's start with the add view, right? Again, because of the unique situation, I'm just going to make use of the value being set here. I'm just going to change it to what I like here, right? I don't need any of that. Instead, I'm just going to have add appointment for, always trying to emphasize the fact that this is in relation to already a pre-selected patient. And then I have the patient name because remember, we supplied that already and we threw it into view data. So there it is. Okay. Now here, I could grab the opening form tag. I like to wrap the whole row inside the form, as you know, right? Grab the closing form tag, do the same thing. If I just use my copy-paste file, it'll save me doing all this manually, but might not be as clear, right, what changes we're making. So, all right, that's good. But, okay, besides having this in place, we do need some hidden inputs, right? I need to store the actual patient ID. So I'm going to throw that right up here. Input type is hidden for patient ID and one for patient name, okay? And I'm pulling it out of course, the model itself has the patient ID, and I added this into view data, the patient name, right? Okay, so that's good. I can kind of leave this the same, except for one big thing. Patient. No, we don't let them change the patient, so we can just take that out. But not only that, there's a little bit more to be done, right? Because thinking about our doctor, okay, we always like to make the user force them to select. So it doesn't accidentally, they just don't pay attention and they end up just selecting the first doctor who happens to be in the list. No, okay? So we'll do that in our normal approach on a create or an add. providing an option value here at the top of the list, select the doctor, right? And that will be invalid until they actually do. But of course, we actually have to add our span to make sure that the error message has somewhere to show up, right? There we go. So that's good for the doctor. Now for the appointment reason, okay, remember this is actually nullable, right? They don't have to give an appointment reason. So it's critical in this case that we actually then provide an option for them, right? So we do that the same kind of way, okay? Option value is an empty string which gives us null, no reason given. But that's an acceptable value. And do I need a summary span? No, because there's nothing they can complain about. If it's no reason given, that's a valid value, the same as everything else. All right. So yeah, I think that's about it. I can leave this and everything else can stay the same. Oh, not this. So I'm going to use my back to list partial. Okay, so it'll have all the proper information in it that I need. That still works here just fine. Okay, so that's it for the changes to add. Pardon me. All right, let's carry on now to the update view, right? So similar, I'm just going to modify manually the title for the page that'll appear in the tab at the top of the screen. And I'm going to give one nice big heading at the top to explain what's going on. It'll be an H2, right, that we are updating appointment for our actual patient. Now this time though, I don't have to provide the patient in view data. It's in the model because the appointment exists already. So I can just go to the model. I've included the patient so I can access that full name summary property. Yay, okay. Now again, I'm going to move my form to the top and the closing form tag to the bottom so it harmonizes or matches, and control craft inner, control KD fixes the indentation. Craft inner, students live on that, right? Okay, not just students. All right, I still like craft dinner. Okay, when my wife's not around, I make myself craft dinner for lunch sometimes. Don't tell her. Okay, so I'll add a hidden input here for patient ID, right? Just because I'm going to take it out, okay? I'm going to remove it from here, so I have to make sure that it does come back, okay? I'm not going to let the user change it, but I do want to make sure it's tucked away inside the form itself. And there we go, we have our validation summaries. That looks perfectly fine. So do I need to do anything else? Let me just double check. That's all good. Notes, extra fee. Now, how about our drop-down list? Well, the doctor is fine, okay? They're going to have a doctor selected, and there'll always be a doctor selected, so I don't need to prompt them about that. The appointment reason is a little different because, once more, it is an optional parameter, right? They don't have to have an appointment reason. So I need to give the option here, no reason given. Okay. And then they can save. That's good. That's good. Just, of course, our partial for the back to list is what I want down here. All right. That's it. So not a huge amount, but again, just always sharpening the focus on the one and only patient that we're dealing with. Okay. So this will be my remove appointment. Okay. My heading will just be a nice H2. Say remove appointment for the patient. I can get rid of the H4 altogether, don't need that. I will add my validation summary. Probably put that right above the HR. And that way, if there was ever in the future, right, going to be some summary message, some validation error message to show, there is somewhere to show it. Okay. Now, it's up to you. You could leave the patient here, but it knows it's going to email. Not a very good choice, but I don't need it, right? So I'll just take it out. The name's already nice and big up at the top of the screen. I don't think I need to change anything else. Oh, except for doctor, full name, right? We don't want to just show the first name of the doctor. And then down here. So the action, make sure we change that to remove. Oh, I better check that on the other ones too. Did I change the action name? I might not have. See, I was going to just copy and paste my code, and then I would have taken care of everything, but I decided to, do it a bit at a time. I think sometimes it helps to highlight what's going on. Now, should I change this to remove or delete? I don't know. People are pretty used to seeing the word delete there, so I don't have strong feelings either way, right? So it's up to you. If you want to change that to remove, that's perfectly fine. In my copy-paste code, I didn't. I'll just try it and we'll see what I think of how it looks. Okay, so the form action is removed. Let me just check these because it won't work. Ah, see that? I forgot to change edit to update. That would have given us an error. And add, okay, make sure the form's action. Ah, see, I missed that one too. You would have tried to find that action in the controller and it wouldn't have been there. Okay, so I think we have everything in place. Let's just give her a chance to prove itself. Okay, so I'll start at patients. Go in a couple just so that okay. Jane Doe, Charles Xavier. So go to details. Here's Jane Doe, right? I see all the appointments here. Page 101, so it tells me that everything is showing here. I'm going to put that back to 3. There we go. And now we have multiple pages. I'm going to edit Jane Doe. And let's make another change. I'll add a couple of medical history things. I'm going to add a new medical trial. Assign her to that new medical trial. And we'll change this to something else. 8 visits per year. Right? And we see that all the changes we've made. Oh, of course, the age. She's the one I never did give a birthday to, eh? There we go. So now we're seeing the age and the birthday. All right, so that's good. Yeah, we're seeing everything up there nicely. We have our appointments. I can sort them. Let's add an appointment now for Jane. This is tomorrow, okay, at 8 a.m. Fair enough. Check the weight. And that's only $5 for that. And seeing her usual doctor. Nah, no reason given. All right. And there it is. No reason given. Check weight. Tomorrow morning at 8. I can edit it. You know what? Instead of 9, it's going to be at 08:30. Oh, sorry. 8:30. So it'll be a half-hour appointment. Oh. There you go. Good for people like me that can hardly spell. But you know, we are going to charge $10 because I actually have to look at the reference, and there we go. Just checking that things are actually updating just fine. All right, and of course I can sort and filter, and away we go. I can page, everything's working nicely. If I come in here and I edit something on the second page, this COVID-19 test from way back when, and a new comment added there. And I see that it did update, and you see I'm right back on the same page that I left. So my memory of all these parameters is working just fine. So everything seems to be working just as I wanted it to. right? And away we go. If I pick one to delete, of course I can just go back to the patient list and cancel that. Remove, and there it is gone. Okay, that's it. All right. Bada bing, bada boom. Any questions? So you can see, just even at a glance, the value of this kind of master detail. Now, you don't have to go to this degree if you don't need the sorting, filtering, and paging, right? That's perfectly fine. I think right now, let me just go to doctors here. If I go to details on a doctor, yeah, we just have a simple list of patients, right? Is this a master detail? Sure it is. Okay, we're showing the master record up here, the related child records. But if that's enough, right? But notice we can't sort by patient name here or age or anything else, right? If you need that kind of capability, then you really do have to go to something like this in order to do it. But we're just taking advantage of the fact if we're going to go to this trouble, might as well do as much of a bang-up job as we possibly can, right? So if I check here for COVID-19, I can see all the appointments related to that. Oh, I guess I deleted it. No, there was one related to an accident, right? So, yeah, you can see the value of doing this approach, I think. All right, any questions about the demo? Fair enough. Well, we have a few minutes left, so I'll stop.